Sansa stared down at the parchment, the words on the tip of her quill. She wanted to put down what happened, to leave a record for all who will come after. Instead, it was a verse that came to her first. When all is said and done, in the deep night, it's the hour of the wolves, and winter has come. The tyrant ruled, we are but a princess in a tower, with no one save birds that fly from above. When all is said and done, the young will return. Nature reclaims what once was theirs on snowy ground, with cold all around we must go down, so they hear the white and the red wolf howl. When all is said and done, death is not proud. It is easier to die than live, for now, when children rise, the pain subsides, spring arrives, after the longest of the cold nights, until all the things said and all the things done make winter come again. These were the first words she had truly written since before her father was killed. Ravens do not count. She had tried to put ink to parchment while in the veil, only the words would not come, and she gave up. Now they flowed out of her with ease, a fountain of icy tears. The floodgates were open, and everything that had been inside her for so very long could come out. There was a knock at the door of the small solar where she had hidden herself to write. "Yes?" she asked. "It's only me," Jon said, peeking his head through the door. "Are you busy?" "No, please come in," she said. Sansa watched Jon enter the room in his leather jerkin, his hair pulled back, walking slowly, still sore from the battle. "The lords are arriving," he said as he approached the table. "We'll meet this afternoon." "Good," she said, looking up at him, meeting his gray eyes as he stood over her. She felt her stomach turn ever so slightly. Everything will work as planned, she assured herself. "What's all this?" he asked, staring at Sansa's papers, trying to read them. "Oh, just something I'm working on," she said, nervously organizing the parchments while watching him pick up the piece with her verse on it. She saw him smile slightly. "I'm trying to record the battle, but all I keep coming up with are verses," she confessed. "Won't the Meister record the battle?" he asked, putting down the parchment. "He's from the Dreadfort," she responded. She saw him give her a curious look. "You would rather write your own history?" he asked. "Our history," Sansa clarified. "Yes, I would. And we should send for a new Meister." "They are required to be impartial," he reminded her. To that, Sansa gave a and picked up her quill. No one is impartial, she thought. "The lords are prepared to swear their fealty to House Stark," he said. Sansa continued to examine her writing. "They will want a firm decision on who's ruling," he added. "You have said we will let them discuss the issue as they do at the Wall," she replied. "Yes, but they vote at the Wall. Here, Winterfell is yours by right," he reminded her. Sansa looked up at her brother with a warm smile. "It is your home too, Jon. You've already given me the best bedroom," she said to him with a slight smile. "Besides, why would the lords choose a woman when they can choose a man?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Jon said. Sansa laughed at this. Jon would do what was right. He was her father's son, after all. The northern lords and ladies were another matter entirely. "Most men care very little for what is right when it comes to a woman ruling," she said. "Not if they think they have another option." "Then I won't be an option for them," he said firmly. No, that would not do, thought Sansa. "Jon, I wanted to come home. I wanted to be safe with my family," she told him. "I got my home. Now I want to be secure. I want to find our family. Let's listen to what our bannermen will say." She watched Jon circle around the table until he was next to her again. "And for us to be safe, they must be happy," he said. Sansa nodded her response to him. "Content, at least," she said, looking up at him. "They must be content." "Bran is out there," Jon said, glancing towards the window. "What about him?" "We have to find him first," she said, "and Arya." Jon nodded to her silently. "We should both get ready for the council," he said to her. Sansa felt him lift his hand to her head and lean over, kissing her forehead. She closed her eyes before opening them again, looking into his gray eyes. He was still staring at her intently. Again, she felt her stomach flip. As he walked away, she wanted to ask him to come back, but they had nothing left to discuss. "I like the poem," he said to her before turning and closing the door behind him. Sansa let out a sigh and put the quill back down. Getting up from the table, she walked toward the window, bringing her hand to her mouth deep in thought. From the small window she could see the yard and castle walls. Banners of the lords appeared more numerous: Glover and Manderley, Kerwin and Dustin. At the far end of the yard she could see the veiled banners with the Aran falcon. Please, let this work. Bringing her attention back to the room, she remembered the weirwood box she had left on the side table in the corner. Thank goodness Jon didn't notice that. Sansa opened it just to make sure the iron and bronze crown was still inside. She hoped it looked like the one Robb had worn. In truth, she had no way of knowing. So few who had been with her brother were left or loyal to ask. It looked lovely, a strong northern crown encircled with swords pointing up. He will hate wearing it, she chuckled to herself. Closing the lid and picking up the box, Sansa hurried out of the small solar to go back to her room. Jon had given her the Lord's chamber, the room her lady mother had used. It was warm, heated by water from the hot springs underneath the castle running through the walls. In truth, it was almost too warm for her. Sansa liked the crisp winter cold on her skin. It reminded her that even when she felt dead on the inside, she was still alive. She changed into her black gown with the embroidered wolf on the chest. She would have to make another gown soon. A lady of a great house must have more than one dress. Time for that would come once they secured fealty from the lords. Still, Sansa wished she had another dress for the banquet that would follow the Council of Lords. Something Jon would like. Sansa remembered how he liked the wolf dress the first time she had worn it. She wanted him to see her as a woman, not the girl that had arrived at Castle Black bruised and broken. He knows I'm still broken, she thought sadly. He loved her, though. She knew that. But could he see her as a grown woman, a trusted advisor? He will after today, she assured herself. Fixing her hair into a braid that hung over one shoulder, she put on her cloak with the fur collar. It would be cold in the great hall. Gazing again at the box, she thought about the conversation she had had that morning with Lord Manderley, the massive lord of White Harbor, upon his arrival. She had asked if a certain rumor she had once overheard Roose Bolton flippantly dismiss was true. The Leech Lord had japed of a missing will, making a certain bastard the heir to the king in the north. The great fat lord looked at her curiously before confirming the rumor to the best of his knowledge, telling her how Robb intended to make Jon his heir. A will that is now lost somewhere in the neck thanks to the Boltons. She thanked Lord Manderley for the information, adding that Jon loved his brother dearly. They both would want to follow Robb's wishes. She also hinted that she hoped the missing will had legitimized Jon as well. I have talked with as many lords as I can without Jon learning of it, she thought. Will or no will, Jon will become our king. He will make me Lady of Winterfell. We can stay here together in the north. Maybe in spring we can raise the Dreadfort and build a fine summer castle. We can raise our children together as family, as cousins, with all the northern children highborn and wildling alike. A knock on the door pulled Sansa out of her daydream. She opened the door to a young squire who had been sent to bring her to the hall. It is time.